Good afternoon, Iona College. Welcome to Today with Matt and Dave. I'm Matt Ricker, and Dave will be joining us shortly. Today is Thursday, the 9th of November. Can't believe how fast everything is going. Just 2 weeks away until Thanksgiving, and then the semester is pretty much wrapped up. But we have a lot to get to this afternoon, including the election results of 2017. It was quite an upset. I'll start with Westchester County. They had the county executive's race around here, and for Westchester, and it was just an upset for George Latimer, the state senator right now, and current incumbent Rob Astorino. Both of them won. Both of them ran for the same seat, and George Latimer won. It was really an upset for Westchester County. I think that Rob and many of his supporters thought that he would be coming back for a third term. But according to the New York Times, George Latimer got 57% of the vote, whereas Rob Astorino got 43% of the vote. So pretty high, pretty big difference there, 57 to 43. Yeah, it's crazy how you think it's going to go one way and then it ends up going the other. Also in New York, there weren't a whole lot of races in New York. It's 2017. Next year, in 2018, they'll have a lot more, such as the governor's race, and I believe Chuck Schumer and Christian Gillibrand will also be up for election. But another major race that was done was the New York City mayor election, and Bill de Blasio, the current incumbent, he served one term. He won another term. He got 726,000 votes. And then the other opponents, he had Sal Albanese, Nicole Mitsotakis. She was the main competitor, I believe, and as well as Akeem Broder, and a few others as well. So it's crazy how it turned out. I mean, Nicole seemed like she had a lot of momentum going on during this campaign, but I don't think that she was really as well known as she should have been. But I have some of the results up here from the New York Times, and Mayor de Blasio won Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, and the Bronx. In Brooklyn, he got 243,000 votes. In Queens, he got 167,000 votes. In Manhattan, he got 182,000, and in the Bronx, 111,000. The only borough that he did not win was Staten Island. Now, for those of you that don't know, Nicole Mitsotakis is actually a senator, a state senator for Staten Island. So she obviously won at 67,000 votes, and Staten Island gave Mayor de Blasio 24,000. So she's the one who won Staten Island. But it was a pretty heated campaign, and we'll see what happens the next 4 years in New York City. But as they say, the people of the cities spoke, but there were also, in addition to those elections, Westchester and New York City, there was 3 ballots on 3 questions on the ballot, on the back of the voting sheet. So for those that didn't remember to turn it over, you kind of missed out. But one of the questions was a constitutional convention. This would have allowed state officials, including the governor, to meet about pension reform, and also known as Proposition 1. But it would have allowed public officials to adjust the pensions of police officers, firefighters, teachers. So it kind of that wouldn't have been good. And not surprised at all, but it did not go through. At 2 million votes voted no, and 558,000 voted yes. The next one was also having to do with pensions. It was pension reform, and this one allows judges to reduce or strip the state pension of an elected official convicted on corruption charges or felonies. So anything like that. That related to corruption, they would be stripped of their pension. So that won a lot of support. Was yes at 2 million votes, and no at 882,000 votes. So that one went through, which in my opinion, I think it's good. Get some more oversight on politicians and their pensions. If they're convicted of any type of crime. And then the third one was very confusing. It was the use of 250 acres in a land bank so that towns can use small pieces of state preserves for critical public projects. That one went through at 1 million, a little over 1 million, and it almost was split 50-50, but it did go through. So, that's... And then in New York City Council, all the districts were up for election. So, they were all Democrats that were elected to the City Council. The district attorney in both Manhattan and Brooklyn were also elected, Democratic. In Nassau County, Laura Corinne was elected county executive. In Orange, Stephen Nahusis, if you're listening, I'm not saying your name right, but he's a Republican. And then in Rockland and, as I said, Westchester, there were also elections as well. And then there were also two other upsets in Virginia and New Jersey. Both those governors' races were up. So Phil Murphy of New Jersey, he won the Democratic vote. And then in Virginia, Ralph Northam was also elected to be governor. He's also a Democrat, and he defeated Ed Giuseppe. That's who he defeated on the Republican side. That was the main competitor there. Not too many elections that were like high-stakes elections this year. I mean, it's not really an election year in most states, but basically it was Virginia, New Jersey, New York, Utah, the 3rd district there. In Maine, there was a proposition about Medicaid, and in Ohio, something about the cost of prescription drugs. So that was those were most of the elections that happened. Next year is the critical year for politicians, 2018. The trend that always seems to happen is the party opposite of the president, so in this case it would be the Democrats, will pick up more seats. We'll have to see what happens with that. There's also a high-stakes election going on in December. Yes, December. I did say that right, because that is former Senator Jeff Sessions' seat, and he was appointed by President Trump to serve as Attorney General, so they had to fill that seat. So in September, they had a runoff election, and Roy Moore, a former judge there in Alabama, won that runoff election, and then they have the primary, rather, and then in December they'll have the runoff election against Luther Strange. So Luther Strange was the interim replacement for Senator Jeff Sessions. Luther Strange was the former Attorney General for Alabama. But yeah, we'll have to see what happens in 2018. We'll see if the trend picks up, where the party opposite the president wins seats, or the Republicans get reelected in both the House and the Senate. And there's also a few other governor's races being held in different states as well. New York is one of them. So I know that Governor Andrew Cuomo, current incumbent right now, is going to run again for a third term. In New York, there's no term limits for governor. And there is some speculation that the current county executive right now, Rob Astorino, will be his challenger. He was his challenger back in 2014, I believe. So we'll have to see what happens again, especially, since Rob Astorino was just defeated by State Senator George Latimer in the Westchester County race. Yeah, lots of high stakes elections going on for next year and then in 2020. So yeah, that's basically all the news I have for today. I wanted to focus on election coverage because I know that's a hot topic, and there were a lot of upsets around the country, so I wanted to touch on that. And in so that basically wraps up the election news. And when we come back, Dave will be here and we'll have some sports. So thank you for watching. Keep watching us on Facebook Live and Ustream.com, here on WICR, Iona College Radio, and we'll be right back.